heart. Save our children. Save our children. Save our children. Save our children. Save our
We'll have to charge you, you know.
In our school. Come and talk to us.
Job, do what we paid you to do. Are you officers of the police? Or are you corporate officers? Save our children! 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 Criminals! Absolute criminals! How many of you police officers
Save our children!
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 Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Save our children! Stand up for the children, the next generation! Our children are being sexualised in the education system. Children are being groomed, perverted on by teachers in the education system. Children are having their lives ripped apart from them. Are being groomed, raped, tortured and abused in satanic ritual abuse. Years and onwards is happening in a school. If you're not inquisitive with your child's education, you won't know what your children are being taught. And the teachers are telling the kids, it doesn't matter what we're telling you at school, don't tell your parents. You need the consent from the parent or the knowledge of what's going on within the education system. It's truly frightening what they're trying to push upon our young innocent children. They teach them sexual positions in the classroom. That's what happened to my son at 11 years of age. Teaching our children how to masturbate. And if they want to transition from your biological status as a male and female, if they want their body parts chopped off, and the Tavistock institution are allowing your children to have their bits chopped off. And there's a guy there laughing at laugh. I hope you ain't got children, mate. God help us when you go home and you tell your children. I laughed about children have their body parts cut off. Very funny. But anyway, if you're a father, be embarrassed. Your children will be embarrassed. Anyway, getting back to the real problems in this country, you're letting the government dictate to your children that it's okay to have their body parts chopped off. Body mutilation, castration. That's what's happening to your young innocent children in the classroom. They're pushing the LGBTQT plus 1, 2 crap of your children in the classroom. Do what you want as an adult. Blah, blah, blah. Do what you want as an adult. But when you're teaching children there's 72 genders and you're laughing and telling people shut up, you stupid little man. Our children are being perverted on. And people laugh. Cisgender, transgender. How many genders are there? You was born male or female. But as I said, if you're an adult, choose to be who you want to be. I have nothing against anyone to be who they like when they're an adult. But when you're a child, don't dictate to our children in the education system that it's okay to change their biological status. It's wrong. My son was told by a teacher it was okay if he wanted to be a girl. If he wanted to have his body parts chopped off, it's fine. When these poor children have their bits cut away and they turn into adulthood, they're very mentally scarred from the... They can't live a normal life because they've been mutilated. And your teachers of your children's classroom are allowing your children to make that decision at the ages of 4 years and up. The likes of Rishi Sunak is allowing the World Health Organisation to dictate to our children what's right from wrong without the consent and the knowledge of the parent. They are telling your children, go away and choose who you want to be. Now, the lesbian and gay community are against this as well. They're against this transgenderism, this ideology they're pushing on our children in the classroom. They're sick of it. They stood up against the transgenderism. And they're trying to teach your children that it's okay to have a man with a dress on reading a book to your young children. Disgusting. Not right, is it? It's messing with your childhood's brain of thinking. Their emotional status is scarred because they don't know what they want to be, who they want to be, because these teachers are allowing your children to make this decision over your consent and knowledge. It's wrong. When are you going to get up and stand for your children and be the voice for them? This is happening all around the country. I knew a mate of mine, he was a teacher, a physical education teacher, a PE teacher, and he was left with an uncomfortable decision to make. There was a young child, a boy, who decided he wanted to be a girl. So my mate as a teacher had to make a decision. He couldn't have that boy in the changing room with the boys because he didn't want to be classed as a male, and he couldn't put that child in a female changing room because it was wrong. So he made a changing room for this one particular child, and he was doing the right thing. And when he did so, and the child come back from the lesson and decided to get into the female changing room, a boy, and change in front of the girls, my mate lost his job because he was called transphobic for making the right decision to remove the child away from the female's restroom, changing room, because he was a boy. And now in the States they're allowing men to go into a changing room and a toilet, restroom with your wives and your children, your daughters, and saying it's okay, it's acceptable. Is it acceptable for a male, a biological male, whether he's wearing a dress or high heels or not, to be in a woman's restroom or changing room? No. It's disgusting. But your government are accepting that, no? They're letting you say, it's okay. It's okay for a grown-ass man to be in a woman's changing room. No, it's not.
It's what the Vatican wants. It's what every walk of life of these paedophiles who rule this world wants. Let's talk about how did it get there. Well, some of you might be surprised to know it's a paedophile who got the sex education into the public schools. around the world. His name was Alfred Kinsey, and he believed all children were sexual at birth. Yes, all children are sexual at birth, from the cradle to the grave. And he believed true happiness was sexual perversion experiments, and that's what he believed, you know. But he was proved fraudulent. Strangely enough, he was proved fraudulent because what he did, he took all the information, instead of the everyday American, he took it all from prisoners, pedophiles, child molesters, nonces, you name it, all there, got all the information from them. And what he did, he wrote a book called Sexual Behaviour in the Human Male. Now he used these nonces, these pedophiles, child molesters from the prisons, along with himself, to do experiments on children from 2 to 3 months old. Yes, 2 to 3 months old. And what he did, he recorded all the orgasms from 2 to 3 months old to 15 years old. All the orgasms these children had. I mean, if that isn't really bad paedophilia going off the charts, there's something wrong. And this was the guy who got it all put into the public schools. He was praised by Hollywood, made a film, Kinsey, 2002, William Neeson, and all the information's there if you want to see what's going on. And I've got a book there which I'm going to talk about soon. But first of all, I want to talk about the gender ideology, because obviously what's going on in schools as well is the fact that they're teaching you about the LGBTQ plus movement. The transgenderism, where you can go in as a child one day, go in a boy and come out a girl, because they don't have to tell your family, and they won't tell your family if they want that change, if there's something going down. Why are they teaching children they can change sex? Why are they teaching children about this LGBTQ plus movement at the age 2 to 3 years old and upwards? Because they want to change the way things are, because it emasculates the men as going forward. Now, I've got a problem with people who they are as an adult or whatever, or leading up to an adult, that is fine. But as a child, you should not be teaching a child, any child, your child, whoever's child, about changing sex. Is that what we do? Is that what we're going? Well, actually, I don't fancy being a girl, but I'll be a boy. Now, the only reason they teach them up to 7 is because when you start out, just like a computer, you've got a blank canvas. You've got no memory at all. Now, if you've been taught all these things about sex and about the gender ideology, that's what you'll know. That is all you'll know about your life, really. You'll think, well, that's normal. You know that you can decide whether you want to be a boy or a girl. But that isn't normal, and that isn't how it should be. Now, this, you may be surprised, gender ideology came about from a guy named John Money, and he also, I'll have you know, he was a paedophile. Okay, John Money was about in the 60s, and he was worked at Johns Hopkins University, the professor, psychologist, sexologist, and he believed children were gender neutral at birth. Gender neutral, and that the environment dictated whether you would be a boy or a girl. Now, you got the chance to try this out on the Reimer twins. Some of you may have heard about them or not, but the Reimer twins, 2 8-month-old boys named Bruce and Brian, they were up to have a circumcision. One was done with a knife, but the other was done with a machine, and sadly the operation went wrong and cut Bruce's genitalia off. Now, they were distraught, didn't know what to do. But John Money had seen him about on the scene on the box, and they thought they contacted him, and he jumped at the chance. And what he did, he persuaded them to transition Bruce into a girl called Brenda, and that's what they did. And that was the start of the most horrific sexual experiments that had got on, and it was absolutely horrifying for them. What John Money did to the pair of them, he also got them to simulate sex on each other and that kind of thing. It really was heartbreaking. Now, Bruce, as he was called Brenda, he just couldn't deal with it. He really was going through it. Because at that time, the young couple were only 18, his mum and dad told him exactly what's going on. They transitioned him back to a boy called David. Now, David spoke out well about what's going on, and if you look on YouTube, or you can even Google it, it will come up, surprisingly enough, that he was on the Oprah Winfrey show with his mum, telling all about what went on, you know, but it just proved too much. The deep scars, the trauma, the torment, and his brother Brian took an overdose, and sadly Bruce took a gun to his head and blew his head off. What was going through his mind at that time was incredible. The fact, the torture and everything that had gone through, he just couldn't deal with it. He just couldn't deal with what was going on. And this is the problem we're finding, you see, because it's a mental rape with the children, really, a mental rape. And what's going on, the suicides are going through the roof. Now the media will pop out and say yes, it's that bad because they want to transition and change sex, but it's not. The suicides are through the roof because once they change sex, they decide they want to go back to normal. But unfortunately, once you transition, you cannot go back. Remember, there's only two male and female genders in this world. 72, you're talking out your backside because there's not 72 genders. There's only male and there's only female. There always will be. If you think you've changed sex, you will still be male and you will still be female, I am sorry. Their mattresses cater for the age range of 4 to 15 plus and 5 to 18 respectively. Within these age specifications, the child is considered to have a right to sexual pleasure. In that, the child is considered to have the right to sexual pleasure and the same sexual knowledge as adults. The same sexual knowledge as adults, this is referred to as children's sexual rights and is presented as preceding the rights to prevent ill health and therefore protection from abuse. Right, the last bit I'm just going to read on this. So the issue of grooming conspicuously absent in both sets of standards and sexual abuse is referenced primarily as justification for providing comprehensive sexuality education from birth. And that's from UNESCO and WHO. Pushing the agenda and everything else, why children, as I said before, should be totally and told about sexualization, that is sex education, or the sexualization through the LGBTQ plus movement. It is absolutely shocking. So they have been attacked at every angle, they have been abused at every angle, and it really is shocking. I mean, let's look at the social services. I'm going to touch on that, and that's two other big things. I want to touch on the social services because I know Kieran's going through a lot after losing his daughter. My cousin's also going through a lot. His 3 children, 2 boys, and the girl was up for adoption in the northeast, and it's absolutely harrowing what he's going through, and he's a great father. He fell out, obviously, with his partner at the time, and she said lots of bad stuff about him, and he's an absolutely great bloke, and I stand by him 100%, as I would stand by Kieran as well, and anyone else. But up in Scotland, a friend of mine called Victoria Duff put me on to this gentleman called John Halley. He's a part-time judge and a sheriff up in Scotland, and he's been at it absolutely trying to solve and really put out there the child abuse and corruption that's going on in social services. You know, it really is. The justice system is absolutely corrupt to hell, and he's been really pushing it. He's written a book, and this is not a plug for his book. I have got his book. It's a hell of a read. It's named Judicial Monstering. The reason for that, the judicial monstering, is because there's a lady called Lady Smith. Her name is Anne Smith. She's an ex-judge, a Supreme Court judge, and she has targeted him with what is about the child abuse in social services. She's targeted him, told the media, told the papers, told everybody, told the business, and he was arrested last year on child abuse charges, and he was nothing in there. And she has made his life hell and his family hell. His name is Bobby. And he's an absolutely amazing guy. What he's doing there up in Scotland. But the thing is, what John says, it's not the rule of law. It's the it's not that it doesn't matter. They change the system, these lawyers, so the paedophilia that goes on, paedophiles can be freed without going to prison. The paedophilia go without going to prison. You see, that is the thing. But also, the justice system, the court system, the judges, there are people there who are into the paedophilia and got their own ring going on as well, which, you know, she is trying to cover this Supreme Court judge, woman Lady Smith, and that's why she's making his life hell. It really is terrible that we live in a society, in a country, in a world, that the judicial system is so corrupt that paedophilia will just go out. Abuse, really good, just go out, abuse again, both on the same thing. It is actually shocking what is going on. I've got lots to say about my hand over to my people here, and it really is unbelievable the way the system is working in this country.
He gets a shout out to put Tony in there. Thank you. Everybody clap with me, this is the big finish.